So let us bring Chloe Thomas on the stage, and she's going to be the host for the panel discussion. Hi, Chloe. And she's going to introduce all the panelists. So, Chloe, I'm passing it on to you, and we'll talk later.
Excellent. Thank you, George. And thank you for the lovely introduction as well. And hello, everybody. Great to see so many of you out there. As George said, I'm doing quite a lot at the moment. My bio is quite long, but I've been in e-commerce for over 15 years now. I started out as working at a retailer. I'm sure, like many of you tuning in today, dealing with all those marketing challenges that we have to deal with when we're working client side. I then ran a marketing agency for 10 years. And since I sold that, I've been focused on helping businesses like you to solve their marketing problems. So when the organizers of this conference invited me to come along and do a live version of the Keep Optimizing podcast, I was like, yeah, I'll come and do that. That sounds like a lot of fun. I think we can help a lot of people. So if you've not heard of the Keep Optimizing podcast before, we do things a little differently. We have each month a focus on a different marketing topic. So this month is affiliate marketing. Previously, we've covered Facebook ads, we've covered email marketing, Google ads is coming up very soon. We've covered all the key topics, but across that month, I get in different experts every week to talk about a different angle on it. And then at the end of the month, we all come together and have a usually quite entertaining, sometimes completely irreverent, live Q&A sessions. The audience get to ask their questions. So we're doing that bit of it today. And the question we're going to be doing is one which I'm fascinated by at the moment, because I think with the big customer jump that a lot of you experienced in the last 12 months, the big question is, as we go through 2021, should we be spending more of our time, effort, innovative energy, that's the word, on trying to get the people who bought from us for the first time in 2020 to come back again, or should we be looking for new customers? How do we get that balance right? And that is the battle between new customer acquisition and customer retention. So that's what we're gonna focus on today, because unlike the podcast, we're not focusing on one marketing method. So I get to do a bigger topic, which is really exciting for me at the very least. Now, what I wanted to also go through in terms of our hot topic was I wanted to get us a really good group of people to discuss it. So I pulled together these 3 excellent people you can see on your screens right now. And the reason I chose these 3 is because I know just how brilliant they are. Why do I know that? Well, because they've all been on the podcast, and because as part of everything I do here at eCommerce MasterPlan is all about helping you solve your marketing problems. I know that sometimes you need a little bit of help to solve those problems. You need someone one-on-one to help you, and I just don't have the bandwidth. I'm running 2 podcasts, virtual summits, all kinds of stuff. I just don't have the time to devote to helping you one-on-one. So I wanted to build a team who could do that. And so I'm on a mission this year to find the best consultants and specialists and agencies in each of the marketing fields in e-commerce. And these 3 are 3 of my first crew members. So they are all members of the eCommerce MasterPlan crew. And that big link you can see, keepopt.com/April15, will take you through to a page with more about the 3 of them, details of the podcast as well, but also how you can get in contact to get their help in your business. And I think we've got like free calls and courses and all kinds of stuff you can access via that link. So do go and have a look at that, but don't do it yet. Write it down for now or put it in your bookmarks. I will also be updating that link straight after this with any key things we've mentioned as we've been going through. So if someone's been raving about a tool, I'll add a link to that. So you'll get that in there as well. But give me a couple of minutes after we come off air so I can actually add that for you. So our brilliant panelists, who have we got? We've got Becky Hopkins, who's a pay-per-click specialist on both Google and Facebook ads. We've got Luke Carthy, who is a genius at SEO and CRO, and Matt Edmondson, who runs multiple e-commerce brands and always has interesting points of view on things. So I'm particularly looking forward to hearing his point of view on this battle today. Now, you get to get involved in this session as well. As George mentioned, in the polls section right now, there's a question for you about whether you're more into acquisition or retention at the moment. Please do fill that in now, because in about 5 minutes or so, I'm going to get the answers to that, and we're going to use that to guide our discussion. So make sure you answer if you've got an opinion. And we'd love to hear your questions as well. I'm not quite sure exactly where you fill those in, but I suspect you've already been told that today. It's going to be pretty obvious on the screen you're looking at. So do fill in those questions and start adding the questions as soon as you think of them, because we've only got a half-hour session here, and I've already used up quite a lot of it telling you all of this. So get those questions in early so we've got a fighting chance of answering them for you. Right, I think it's time. We got rid of the pictures of the people, we got rid of the slide deck, and we got the real people up here with me. Hello, Matt. How are you doing?
Hey, Chloe. Good. How are you?
Not bad. Becky, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Excellent. And Luke?
Hello. Yeah, really good. Thank you, Chloe. I'm good. How are you?
I'm loving your background colour, Luke. I have paint envy. Anyway, right. The first thing we're going to do is get you guys to introduce yourselves and also state whether you are on team retention or team acquisition. So let's start with Matt. Would you like to tell the audience a little bit about you and also whether you're team acquisition or team retention, please?
Sure. I think you did such a blinding intro, Chloe. I'm not sure I can add to that. But yeah, I run a lot of e-commerce businesses. I love e-commerce, like Chloe do a podcast. Am I team retention or team acquisition? Can I be both? I don't know. I'm kind of 60-40. If that makes any sense. I'm 60% new customers, 40% retention.
Cool, I like it. I will take a split if you give me a percentage, okay?
Okay, yeah. There are reasons for that percentage, but that's my current percentage split.
Okay, cool. Becky, how about you?
Hi there, I'm Becky Hopkins. I'm Managing Director of Digital Gearbox. We're a specialist PPC agency. And we work with a lot of e-commerce businesses. Now, I'm approaching this very much with my PPC head on. And again, I'm not one side or the other. And actually, I'm 50-50, dead in the middle.
Okay. Well, you, Becky, are exactly the same as our audience, who have come back 51.7%.
Oh, wow.
New customer acquisition and 48.3% customer retention. So
I represent the people.
Yeah, you are the representative of the audience. Excellent. And Luke, how about you?
Do you know what? I guess I'm gonna have to be the one that has a little bit of a different opinion. But I generally think it depends on where the company is. Not to break it open and segment it too early, but if you're very much in startup phase, like within the first 6 months to 12 months, I think it's all about acquisition, right? There's got to be a lot more benefit to what you do as a business in purely spending probably the vast majority of your budget in acquisition. But then I think to the other side, where you're kind of growth focused or established, I think there's a huge amount of value in getting those customers to come back, especially in purchases where they've got a really long life cycle, like for example sofas, which is normally like once every 4 years or something like that. So there's a lot of value in keeping existing customers really happy and knowing when to target them. So without kind of the horrible "it depends" clause, I generally think it depends on where a business is. But in my startup specifically, it's all about acquisition right now. I'd like to say maybe in another 6 or 12 months' time, it will flip a little bit more towards retention. Wait and see.
I love the fact you're all kind of slightly, apart from Becky, who's like it's 50-50, but you are all struggling with which one do you go for, because it is that endless challenge in e-commerce. We know we should be doing both. How do we split our time between it? So, Matt, you didn't get a chance to explain your rationale between the 60-40. So do you want to do that for us, please?
Sure. I'm customer led. So I look at the analytics on my websites, and about 60% of our income comes from new customers and 40% comes from returning customers. And so that's why we break up the split like that. So if that's what our customers are doing, that's where we're going to put our time and energy. It was as simple as that.
I like that. And I love that that's a tip that everyone can use. You can all go and log into your analytics and go, new versus returning. How do I split my budget? As always is the case in e-commerce, let's let the customers decide. Right. Okay. As the audience are 50-50, and as we're mainly 50-50 too, I think we should I will try and do this. So we spend about half our time talking acquisition, half our time talking customer retention. Because what I really want to make sure is that all you listening out there come away with some more top tips other than just look at those Google Analytics numbers to split your budget, because that was a top one. That was a good starting point. So let's start off with retention, I think. We'll start at the back and we'll work forwards, because that's the obvious way to do this.
Obviously, yeah.
What do you think should be on an e-commerce? Actually, let's rephrase that. What do you guys think is the one thing an e-commerce business should definitely be doing in retention in 2021? So maybe a new tactic or something you're seeing that's working really well. Who fancies jumping in?
Yeah, I'll jump in on this one.
Yeah, go Luke.
Oh, sorry. Hold on, Becky was almost there. All right, cool.
It's all right, you go first.
I think it's a classic, email. I think I see it time and time again where email is just neglected. It's used as almost like an echo chamber, like it's almost just announcing things rather than using it as an engagement opportunity. But I think email, it doesn't have to be expensive at all. In fact, in some ways it can even be free, depending on the size of the list and who you're communicating to. But huge. So many vendors, so much in the tech stack to do. Don't have to spend a lot of money. It can be really properly effective. And just to be clear, I'm not speaking just about offering discount codes, because I know that's normally like a cliche go-to. It's like 10% off or new in stock or clearance. Sometimes just being really timely and asking the right questions at the right time is a really powerful way of getting people to stick around.
Yeah, and what I love about email and customer retention is that 90% of your customer retention activity on email is you set it up once and it just happens. It's not like it's like post-purchase reminder sequences, and it's just stuff that you set up once and it just happens, because basically you can do your broadcast anyway. So different from the acquisition side of things. So yeah, a really good use of a day's work, I think. And Becky, you had one for us.
You know what I'm going to say. I'm PPCer, so I'm going to say remarketing, of course. So making sure you've got your Google tag and your Facebook pixels on your websites, making sure that you're collecting those audiences at the very least. So even those newer businesses, even if you haven't got the people there to follow up with at this stage, make sure that you're collecting them so that you can follow up with them via a retargeting ad at a later date. But also just making sure for those people that have the data from last year, obviously all those more established businesses that had the influx of nice, shiny new customers, these are the people that you should be putting out any new offers, any new products that you've got. If you can cross-sell to them, if you've got your dynamic remarketing setup as well, all these things where you can make sure that people are aware of what you're selling now and what offers you've got to have. Remarketing is a perfect place to get the ads in front of them as they browse the web.
I've got a lot of questions to come back to you with on that one, but I'm going to come to Matt first, and because I think his might tie in as well. So we'll let Matt share his top tip first.
Well, I agree with the remarketing. I agree with the email. So the top ones have been taken. For me, the best way to get customers to come back is sell a really good product that they want to buy again. I appreciate that sounds like a really obvious statement to make, but that whole experience that the customer has when they receive the parcel, when they open that box, if you can make that magical, and if you're selling something that they want to buy time and time again, they're going to come back. Right. But if you're just selling an average product, or you're selling an okay product, but you're delivering it in a very dull and boring way, they're going to go shopping elsewhere. So I think for me, retention is all about those memorable customer experiences. What do they experience once they purchase something from you? And I think if that's good, they'll come back. Do you know what I mean? I think it's an obvious thing.
Luke, you've unmuted yourself, so I'm guessing you want to come in. So
I just wish there was a sound effects board, like, because exactly what Matt said is brilliant. It's gold, right? I think, we all forget it. If you have no product, you have no e-commerce model. So we can use all the tech stack in the world. We can have the best of this, the best email, the best pay facility. If the product is crap, it's not going to work, is it? So I think there's a lot of premise in what Matt said, and that experience. It's kind of like, if you can box that new car feeling, then that's powerful.
Yeah, and it comes back kind of to the email stuff that Luke was talking about, in terms of it's not just how the box arrives, it's how you manage the process between the order being placed and the box arriving, which with all the delays there's been this year, the companies who proactively looked after customers, sent them how-tos or sent them guides and brand stuff, anything in that interim, so they weren't going, where's my parcel? We'll have a better chance. But Becky, you were about to say something and I talked all over you. Sorry.
It's all right. I was just going to say, I think it's really owning that as well, because I think, like you say, there have been problems with delivery over the last 12 months. And if there was an issue, taking responsibility for that and talking to the customers and almost offering something to make up for that potential negative experience that they had for you. It doesn't necessarily mean you have to chuck money at them, but something that acknowledges that it wasn't perfect first time round and giving them a reason to come back to you for a second time.
Yeah.
So true. Well, the question I wanted to come back to earlier, for those of you out there who are like me going, she said she was going to ask a question. When's she going to ask the question? Well, she's going to ask it now. It was that it strikes me that with the email, with the remarketing, potentially with the product side of things as well, and the deliveries, in 2021, because we've all, or most of us, have seen such a big uplift in orders and up, which means a huge amount of extra data. Now is the time to start segmenting and testing the audiences we're sending that stuff to. There's no better time to go, right, we've got our repeat purchase sequence. Should that be happening after 5 days or 10 days or 15 days or 30 days or 6 months? Now is the time to test it because we've got more data than we ever had. Likewise, it's the time to invest time in going, our remarketing audience, do we just go for those who've bought in the last 30 days? Or do we go who got as far as the checkout? Or do we go who got as far as the product pages? And I realize that's not technically retention, but we can do some really clever things at the moment. So should we be, I feel we should be investing in the optimization of the message and the offer and the audience we're sending these things out to. Matt, you're looking very thoughtful.
No, I'm agreeing. I'm nodding in agreement. I think it's very good, Chloe. I think that you're right. You should always be testing, right? You should always be proving these ideas and proving these concepts and not resting on your laurels. And what is the best time to recontact customers? What is the time frame that it should be? I think you should also question the mechanism of how. So one of the things that we're going to be playing around with, for example, is, we had on the podcast the guy that runs Bonjoro, Matt from Bonjoro, which is like a video platform, and you send little 30-second videos as opposed to emails to clients. I don't know if that's going to work. I don't know, but now's a good time to test. And so rather than just sending them the same email, thanks for buying from us again, if we send an email going, Susan, thanks for buying from our site again. We know you've been on there loads. You're awesome. You're an absolute legend. Appreciate it. And we just send that as a video. Will that work? I don't know. We're going to find out.
Yeah, now is the time for testing.
Yeah. Go test.
But I said we would also cover customer acquisition. So guys, like I said, if you've got any questions coming in, you want to send us, please do add those in. We will deal with them. I suspect there'll be questions afterwards. So if you head to that page, you'll find, I mentioned earlier, and we'll bring the link up again later. You can ask extra questions there, and you can actually get in contact with these guys and get one-on-ones with them. So we're up for questions afterwards because I suspect we're going to spark more questions than we answer in this slot. Okay. Customer retention, the total other side of the coin. I'm going to start with Luke again this time. What would you say, Luke, is your advice?
Retention. So this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, but affiliate sites, like they are all over the retention following,
acquisition.
The shiny stuff, acquisition, yeah. We're on the opposite side now. So affiliates, like they hemorrhage so much margin for so many clients, and I think there's actually a way to potentially double down on this. So a lot of people, we know the story, you put a lot of stuff in your basket, you go to the checkout, you see that shiny coupon code box, and you go to Google, feel like Hacker Man, start Googling some stuff, find a code, right? But normally it takes you to somewhere like vouchercodes.co.uk or Daily Mail offers, which of course, lots of margin. So how about just building your own discount code page and hosting it on your own site? So that way, rather than giving 10% off for the Daily Mail, which for you as a retailer is probably about, say, 15%, or if not more, you give away free delivery, which could actually be less margin to hemorrhage. They haven't left your site, so you can see how well that's engaging. And then you kind of satisfy the customer because, of course, they've got their magic shiny discount code that works. So it's not necessarily acquisition in itself, but it's kind of end of the acquisition funnel, because new customers always want to kind of find ways to save some money. So that's the way I found can be really effective at reducing margin hemorrhage for clients, but equally giving customers what they want.
I've seen this quite a bit, and I've seen people taking it as far as putting a voucher code on the checkout page. So it might be a ticker tape going across the top of the screen, or it might be not got a voucher code, use this to save 5%, which I think is possibly being far too nice to the customers, but I should never say that, should I? I also know some businesses who swear by bidding on the term brand name voucher code and putting their own voucher code in a Google ad. And I can see all three of you nodding at that one. A very cheap way to save the margin you would otherwise be spending to the affiliates, because it's not, if you're using affiliates to generate new customers and they're only having an impact when someone reaches the checkout page, totally get it. But I should say, if anyone wants more advice on affiliate marketing, listen to this month on the Keep Optimizing podcast, because we are all over it this month. But Becky, I've mentioned PPC, so we've got to come to you next for your advice.
Of course. I think for me, I want to say just make sure you're exploring new PPC channels. I think typically people think PPC, they think Google, obviously, and they might have their shopping set up. But are you doing search? Are you doing display? Also, have you considered things like Microsoft ads? A lot of people, they might have tried Bing Microsoft ads a couple of years ago and found it didn't work for them. But the demographic of who's buying online has shifted a little bit. And a lot of older people who didn't have the confidence to buy online previously have found themselves forced into the online space. And actually, we're seeing a real pickup in Microsoft ads / Bing, say both, sales over the past 12 months. So, and equally think about, again, it depends who you're trying to target, new channels like TikTok ads for the younger generation. So just make sure you're looking at your Google Analytics data, seeing where your visitors are coming from and seeing if there is a paid route that you can get more of that traffic from.
I'm going to get, you mentioned TikTok, so I'm going to give my favorite TikTok tip, which is to use the TikTok Creator Studio to create brand-based ads. So recruit the TikTok masses to create videos about your product and then use those videos in your Facebook ads. Is apparently TikTok videos work incredibly well on Facebook. So a bit of cross-pollination, a tip there. I would love to reference the person who told me that. So apologies, whoever told me that, I've forgotten who it was. But a genius tip that I think just has to be passed on. Right, Matt, your tip, please.
Top tip for acquisition, I think, is just, if you have to understand that if there are 100 people online searching for your product which you're selling, maybe 3 or 4% of them are ready to buy, right? And out of those 3 or 4% of people, that's where most people compete. They're all in a frenzy to try and get their buyers to their website, which leaves about sort of 90-95%, which kind of is a little bit easier to get access to if you're willing to play a little bit more of a medium-term game. And so if we're talking customer acquisition in the short run, paid media works super well. If you're talking a little bit more medium term, so maybe, I don't know, whatever your buying cycle is, for one of my sites is 2 months. So if we think 2 months ahead of ourselves, actually we can do some great stuff around content, around videos. Live streaming is a great one for us. We built our skincare brand just by heading to Twitter and just having an alert on our Twitter stream. So if anybody anywhere in the world typed they were having trouble with their skin, we were like, hey, listen, can we send you some samples? We just reached out to people on Twitter. And that built a skincare brand. Just doing that on Twitter is really great. So there are these other channels I think you can look at when you get outside of the buying frenzy of the small 4%. And having a good balance between those two channels, or those two sort of percentages, I think works super, super well.
I love that. And I think that speaks for me to one of the other big trends that I'm thinking is not getting quite enough airplay at the moment as to what's happened in the last 12 months in the e-commerce space, is the consumer desire for a more powerful emotional connection with the brands they're buying from even. And solving problems on Twitter, solving problems on your website, sending out great content has so much more impact now that we as human beings are after a deeper connection and more help and more softer content. It's definitely the time to invest in it. Plus, of course, I know a lot of marketers who last year, the sales went up so high, they couldn't do any marketing. So they had nothing to do but go and invest in social or content. That's a brilliant thing to have happened. So I really hope you're all continuing that as things get a bit more maybe normal this year. Well, look, we are very nearly out of time. So could I get the slide deck back up, please? And we'll just wrap up and then say a farewell. Oh, cool. Everyone's still on screen. That's good. So just wanted to remind you all, if you want to get in contact with any of us, head to keepopt.com/April 15. It's on screen there for you. I hope you've enjoyed this session. It seems from our panelists' answers and from your survey, we're all on the 50-50, which actually means customer acquisition is going to get a lot more attention this year than it ever has before. So good luck with your testing and your segmentation. Good luck with those clever things you can do with your ads and putting more content out there. A huge thank you to all of you for watching and participating, and a huge thank you to my panelists as well. So thank you guys for being part of this.
No worries. Thanks for
Chloe.
inviting us. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you, everybody.